My name is Lily Walsh, and I'm 34 years old. Last Thanksgiving, my mother texted me, "Don't come, daughter, I'm busy." I drove 3 hours anyway. The moment I stepped inside, I saw my own mother, in her own house, wearing a dirty apron, refilling wine glasses while my brother's wife leaned back and sneered loud enough for everyone to hear. "Mom, can you move any slower? We let you live here rent-free, and this is how you repay us? At least try to be useful." His friends laughed. My mother lowered her head and kept serving like a servant in the home she once owned. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I smiled, helped her clear the table, and kissed her goodbye. But the second I got in my car, I started pulling every public record I could find. They thought they had years to humiliate my mother in her own house. They had 72 hours. Before we go any further, please take a moment to hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps the channel grow. And drop a comment below. Where are you watching from, and what time is it there right now? I'd love to know. Now, I need to go back a little. My father, Gerald Walsh, died 6 years ago. Heart attack, middle of the night. My mother, Donna, found him at 5 in the morning. She didn't scream. She sat beside him on the bed and waited until the sun came up to call anyone. She said later she wanted to give him one more sunrise. That's the kind of woman my mother is. For 28 years, Mom worked as a clerk at the county courthouse in our small town in central Pennsylvania. She filed deeds, she processed liens, she stamped documents with county seals. She handled other people's property records 5 days a week. She could tell the difference between a quit-claim deed and a warranty deed faster than most attorneys. After Dad died, the house, a 3-bedroom ranch on a half-acre lot with a garden out back and a detached garage Dad built himself, passed to Mom through his will. That was their life's work. That house. I'm the older child. I moved to Harrisburg at 24 to work as a paralegal at a small family law firm. It's 3 hours from Mom's place. After Dad died, I drove down every month. I'd bring groceries, I'd fix the gutter, I'd sit with Mom on the back porch and we wouldn't say much, but that was okay. She seemed okay. Lonely, but steady. Then my brother Travis got married. Travis is 4 years younger than me. Good with his hands. He's a plumber. Picks up shifts when they're available. Travis married a woman named Kayla Briggs when she was 25. Kayla had worked as an assistant manager at a retail store. She quit before the wedding. Said she wanted to focus on family. At the reception, she gave a toast about how family is the most important thing in the world. She looked straight at my mother when she said it. I remember thinking it was sweet. 2 years ago, Travis and Kayla moved into my mother's house. To help Mom, Travis told me on the phone. She shouldn't be rattling around that house alone, Lily. Kayla and I can take care of everything. You don't need to drive down every weekend. I believed him. I stopped visiting as often. Once a month became once every 2 months. Travis said Mom was busy. Kayla said Mom was doing great. Mom said she was fine. Nobody asked me to come. So I didn't push. That was my first mistake. Trusting the people who were supposed to love her. Because I'm fine is the most dangerous sentence in the English language when it comes from a woman who's been trained to say it. Here's what I didn't know at the time. Within the first 3 months of moving in, Kayla rearranged the entire house. She took the master bedroom, my parents' room, the one with the window seat Mom and Dad installed together in 1998. She moved Mom into the back bedroom, the smallest one, the one that used to be Travis's childhood room with the slanted ceiling and the baseboard heater that clicks all night. She replaced the living room furniture with pieces from her old apartment. She changed the locks, for security, and gave Mom a key to her own house. Mom didn't argue. She told me Kayla was freshening things up. Kayla also took over the mailbox, the bills, and the Wi-Fi password. She set up grocery delivery under her own name and account. She told the neighbors that Donna had decided to step back from hosting for health reasons. She created a quiet, thorough erasure of my mother's authority in her own home. And she did it all with a warm smile and the language of concern. When I'd call Mom, the conversations got shorter. Mom would say, "Everything's good, honey. Travis and Kayla are so helpful." Same words every time. Same tone. Like she was reading from a card taped to the wall. I didn't see any of this happening. Because I was 3 hours away. And because my brother said, "We've got it covered, Lily. Focus on your job." And I did. I focused on my job while my mother was being slowly erased from her own life. I carry that now. Not as guilt, as fuel. The Thanksgiving text came on a Wednesday morning. My phone buzzed at 7:45, right before I left for work. "Don't come, daughter. I'm busy." I read it 3 times. I set the phone on the counter and stared at the wall. My mother has never once in her life called herself busy. She says tired. She says fine. She says blessed. She says, "Don't worry about me." Busy is a scheduling word. Busy is what you say when you're managing something. My mother doesn't manage. She endures. That text didn't sound like her. It sounded rehearsed. I left work early that afternoon, packed an overnight bag, and got on the interstate. 3 hours later, I turned onto the 2-lane road that leads to my mother's house. It was dark. Travis's truck was in the driveway. 2 other cars sat on the lawn. I didn't recognize either one. Bass from a speaker thumped through the front windows. Silhouettes moved inside like a party was happening. I knocked. Kayla opened the door. Her smile appeared half a second after her eyes registered me. That delay, I'll never forget it. A half second where her face said, "Why are you here?" before the mask slid on. She was wearing a fitted black dress and gold earrings. Her nails were fresh, dark red, pointed. She looked like she was hosting a gala in my mother's living room. "Lily, oh my gosh, we didn't know you were coming." "I texted Mom," I said. "Oh." A quick blink. "She probably forgot. You know how she is lately." I didn't know how she was. That was the whole problem. Kayla stepped aside. I walked past her and turned left toward the kitchen. My mother was standing at the stove. She was wearing her old apron, the gray cotton one with the ink stain on the pocket from her courthouse days. I know that stain. She got it in 2003 from a leaky pen while processing a subdivision filing. She used to joke about it. Now the apron looked like it hadn't been washed in a week. Her hair was pulled back in a loose knot. Her hands were red, raw at the knuckles, the skin around her fingernails cracked. 3 pots were going on the stove. The oven timer was beeping. A full sink of dishes sat behind her. She was stirring gravy with one hand and trying to load the dishwasher with the other. In the dining room, Travis sat at the head of the table. My father's seat. That hit me like a slap. When I was a kid, nobody sat in that chair but Dad. After he died, nobody sat there at all. Now my brother was in it, beer in hand, telling a story to 4 friends I'd never met, a game on the TV behind him. Kayla sat at the other end, wine glass half empty, plate clean. Not because she'd eaten, but because she hadn't served herself. My mother would bring her plate. That's how it worked now. I counted the chairs. 6. Travis, Kayla, 4 friends. No place setting for my mother. Not even a folded napkin. No chair for her at all. "Mom?" I said softly. She turned. Her eyes were red at the edges, but she smiled. The automatic kind. The kind that costs nothing because you've done it 10,000 times. "Lily, why did you come?" It wasn't anger. I could hear the fear underneath it. She was afraid I would see. "I missed you," I said. She pulled me into a hug. She smelled like dish soap and turkey fat and something deeper. Exhaustion. Not the kind from one holiday, the kind that lives in your bones when every morning starts with a list and every night ends with scrubbing. From the dining room, Kayla's voice floated in. "Mom, Can you bring the cranberry sauce? And maybe refill the glasses while you're up? While you're up? Like she was talking to a waitress at a diner. Like my mother's purpose in this house was to remain in motion until she was told to stop. Mom let go of me and went. I pulled a stool from the hallway because there was no chair for me either. I set it at the corner of the table and watched. Travis's friends treated my mother like staff. One of them said, "Thanks, Donna," when she set down a platter of dinner rolls. First name. Casual. The tone you'd use with someone handing you a receipt. Another asked, "Hey, can we get more of those sweet potatoes?" Without looking up from his phone. My mother stood up 7 times in 40 minutes. I counted. Refill, clear, serve, wipe, bring, replace, repeat. She never sat. She never ate. She moved between the kitchen and the dining room like someone had programmed a route. Travis didn't look at her once. Not once in 40 minutes. He laughed. He talked about trucks. He clinked beers with his friends. He didn't see his mother shuttle plates 3 feet from his face. Or if he saw, he'd trained himself not to register it. Kayla directed every request to Mom like she was reading from a checklist. More bread, more gravy, more wine. The 3rd time she said, "Mom, more wine," she didn't even look up from her phone. She just raised her empty glass in the air and shook it lightly, like ringing a bell. My mother walked over and poured. After dinner, the friends migrated to the living room. Travis turned up the TV. Kayla disappeared to the bathroom. She was gone for 20 minutes, probably scrolling or fixing her makeup. The kitchen was mine and my mother's. I helped her carry plates. She washed. I dried. The sink was overflowing. That's when I saw the list. It was taped to the refrigerator with a magnet. A sunflower magnet I recognized from when Mom used to garden. The paper was white, lined notebook paper, covered in neat handwriting I didn't recognize at first. Then I did. Kayla's handwriting. The heading, Mom's Daily Tasks. 6:30 a.m., laundry, sort, wash, fold, put away. 8 a.m., kitchen cleanup, counters, floor, dishes from night before. 10 a.m., grocery run, use list on counter, receipts in drawer. 12 p.m., lunch prep and serve 2 p.m., yard work, mow Mondays, rake Wednesdays, trash bins Fridays. 5 p.m., dinner prep, check meal plan posted inside cabinet. 8 p.m., final dishes plus wipe down all surfaces plus sweep. 7 tasks. Every day. 14 hours of labor from a 62-year-old woman, written in the handwriting of a 28-year-old who hadn't touched a mop in 2 years. I took a photo. My hand was steady. My jaw was not. Mom saw me looking. She moved fast, too fast for someone who'd been on her feet since dawn, and slid a child's crayon drawing over the list. A drawing that had been stuck on the side of the fridge, out of the way. "Oh, that's just to help me remember things," she said. She didn't look at me when she said it. At my age, you know. My mother is 62. She spent 28 years tracking deed numbers, filing reference codes, and matching legal descriptions to parcel maps. She doesn't need a piece of notebook paper to remember to clean her own house. I didn't push. I just nodded. From the dining room, "Mom, Travis's friends want dessert." Kayla's voice. Not, "Could you?" Just the command, floating through the doorway like Mom was on call. My mother said, "Excuse me, honey," and walked away carrying a pie she'd baked at 5 that morning. Later. The friends left. Kayla and Travis went upstairs. I heard the bedroom door close, then laughter, then the TV in their room. Mom and I were alone in the kitchen. She was wiping the counter. Slow circles, over and over, like she'd forgotten what she was doing, but her hand kept moving. "Mom," I said, "why did you text me not to come?" She didn't look up. The rag went in circles. "I didn't want to bother you. You have your own life, Lily." That's not an answer. Her hand stopped. She held the rag against the counter, pressing it flat, like she was holding something down. It's the one I have. I wanted to push harder. I didn't. Instead, I glanced at her phone on the windowsill. It was unlocked. Mom never sets a passcode. She says she has nothing to hide. I picked it up carefully, opened her messages. My text history was almost empty. I'd sent dozens of messages over the last 2 years. Miss you, Mom. Call me when you get a chance. I love you. Thinking about you today. All deleted. Gone. The thread was stripped clean, except one. One text from 3 months ago, still sitting there. I love you, Mom. Call me anytime. It had been read 38 times. I set the phone down. My mother was watching me from across the kitchen. She saw what I saw. She didn't explain. She didn't pretend. She just looked at me with eyes that had been quietly drowning for 20 months. Then she turned off the light above the sink. Drive safe, honey. I hugged her at the front door. She held on with both hands. I'll come back, Mom. Soon. She nodded. She didn't say don't. That told me something too. Have you ever watched someone you love serve a table in their own home and no one said a word? Tell me, because I need to know I'm not the only one who's seen this. I drove 3 hours home in the dark with no radio. I replayed every frame, the list, the apron, the deleted messages, the one text read 38 times, Travis in Dad's chair, the way Kayla shook her empty wine glass like a bell. I didn't cry. I gripped the wheel and thought. By the time I pulled into my parking lot in Harrisburg, I wasn't Lily the daughter anymore. I was Lily the paralegal, and somebody had forged a document. Saturday morning. I called Connie Draper. Connie is 68, a retired teacher, and she's lived next door to my mother for over 30 years. She and Mom used to be close. Sunday pie, morning coffee at the fence, the kind of neighbor who knocks when your curtains stay closed past noon. Connie, I said, how is my mom? And don't say fine. The pause lasted 3 seconds, long enough for me to know she'd been waiting for someone to ask this question. Your mom stopped coming outside about a year ago, Connie said. Her voice was careful. She used to garden every single morning, Lily. Rain or shine. Tomatoes, zinnias, herbs. Now I don't see her in the yard unless she's hauling the trash cans to the curb or mowing the lawn. Mom is mowing the lawn? Every Monday, and washing both cars and raking. Things your father used to do. Things your brother should be doing. I asked when it started. Pretty much right after that woman moved in. Kayla. I used to come over on Sundays with pie. You know that. We've been doing it 20 years. After they moved in, I'd knock, and Kayla would answer and say, Donna's too busy for visitors right now, but I'll let her know you stopped by. Like she was a secretary, I'd stand on the porch holding a pie, and I couldn't get past the door. I was writing everything down. Dates, details, patterns. Then Connie said something that made me set my pen down and close my eyes. Lily, about a year ago, your mom stopped calling it my house. She started saying Travis's house. I asked her about it once. I said, Donna, what do you mean Travis's house? Gerald left it to you. And she just looked at the ground and said, Things change, Connie. They signed some papers. But I saw her face. She didn't look like someone who'd made a choice. She looked like someone who'd been told what to believe. My mother, who spent 28 years processing real estate documents at the county courthouse. Who could spot a missing notary stamp from across a room? Who knew more about property transfer law than most lawyers in that town? Someone had convinced her the house wasn't hers anymore. I thanked Connie and hung up. I sat at my kitchen table for a long time, staring at the wall. Then I opened my laptop and searched for the county recorder's office hours. Monday, 9 in the morning. I drove 45 minutes to the county seat and walked into the recorder's office. The building smelled like old carpet and toner. The same smell from when Mom used to bring me to work on snow days. I showed my ID, filled out a records request form, and asked for a property search on my mother's address. The clerk pulled it up in under a minute. She turned the monitor toward me. Owner, Donna Marie Walsh. Transfer date, 6 years ago. Instrument, probate deed, estate of Gerald T. Walsh. Recorded and indexed. No subsequent transfer, no sale, no lien, no deed of trust, no quitclaim, nothing. The house had been in my mother's name since the day my father died. It had never left. Not once. I asked for a certified copy. The clerk printed it, pressed the county seal into the paper, signed it, and handed it to me. I held it with both hands. That sheet of paper weighed less than an ounce, but it carried the weight of 2 years. If Kayla told my mother the house had been transferred to Travis, it was a lie. And if my mother believed it, if she was cooking and cleaning and serving and mowing because she thought she was a guest in her own home, then she'd been doing all of it for nothing. 2 years of labor built on a lie. I drove back to Harrisburg and put the certified copy in my work bag. I had half the puzzle. Now I needed the other half. I needed to see whatever Kayla had used to make my mother believe. Wednesday afternoon, Travis was on a plumbing job 2 towns over. Kayla posted a photo of her nails at the salon, fresh set, dark red, 45 minutes ago. I knew I had time. I let myself into Mom's house with the spare key she keeps under the ceramic pot by the back door. 20 years. Same pot. Same key. Mom was on her knees in the hallway, scrubbing the baseboard with a toothbrush. Mom, it's me. She looked up, startled. Then relief. Then something else. The way you look when someone catches you doing something you know is wrong but you can't stop. Lily, I wasn't expecting... I know, can we sit? We went to the kitchen. I noticed only 2 place settings were arranged on the table, Travis's and Kayla's. A folded napkin at each spot, a glass, a fork. Nothing at the other seats. Where do you eat, Mom? She gestured vaguely toward the counter. I usually just grab something while I'm cleaning up. She ate standing, at the counter, in her own kitchen. I sat down. She sat across from me, uneasy, like she was breaking a rule by sitting at her own table during the day. Mom, I said, you told Connie this is Travis's house now. Can you show me the paper you signed? She froze. Her hands went flat on the table. For 3 seconds she didn't breathe. Then she stood, walked to her bedroom. The small back bedroom, the one that used to be Travis's childhood room, now hers because they'd taken the master, and opened the closet. She reached behind a stack of folded towels and pulled out a folder. It was a manila folder with a printed label, Property Transfer. She handed it to me like it was something holy, like it was the title to her life, and she'd already given it away. I opened it. Inside, a single sheet of paper. Bold header in what looked like a legal font. A block of text full of words like hereby, in consideration of, and conveyance. 2 name fields, Donna Walsh and Travis Walsh. Signature lines at the bottom. My mother's signature. Shaky but real. Dated 20 months ago. To anyone who's never held a real property transfer document, this would look like the real thing. I've held hundreds. This document had no county seal, no recording number, no notary stamp, no witness signatures, no legal description of the property, no lot number, no parcel ID, no meets and bounds. It wasn't filed with any recorder's office. It wasn't recorded in any index. It referenced no grantor-grantee relationship. It cited no statute. It was created on a home computer, printed on 20-pound copy paper. The font was Calibri. My mother, who had processed real estate documents for 28 years, had signed it because Kayla told her it was for the mortgage restructuring. Because she trusted her son's wife. Because it never occurred to her that someone in her own family would forge a legal document to trick her into believing she'd lost her home. I set the fake aside. My hands were steady. My chest was not. Underneath it was another document, handwritten. Kayla's neat print. The heading, House Agreement. In exchange for continued residence in the back bedroom, Donna Walsh agrees to perform the following household duties on a daily basis. The list was identical to the one on the refrigerator. Same tasks, same times, same handwriting. At the bottom, my mother's signature, and next to it Kayla's. Dated the same day as the fake transfer. My mother had signed 2 documents in one sitting. The first told her she'd lost her house. The second told her what she had to do every day to be allowed to stay in it. A fake deed. And a labor contract. In her own home. With her own pen. Not because anyone held her down. Not because anyone threatened her with violence. Because she believed it. Because she trusted. Because the person who handed her the pen was smiling and said, "It's just paperwork, Mom." I photographed everything. Both pages. Front and back. Kayla's signature. My mother's signature. The date. The folder label. I used my phone's scanner app and saved it all to my cloud drive. Then I compared the fake transfer to the certified county record I already had. Side by side on my phone screen, the difference was embarrassing. One looked like a prop from a TV show. The other had the weight of the entire county government behind it. I put the folder back exactly where I found it. Behind the towels. In the closet. In the small back bedroom where my mother now slept. In a twin bed with a quilt she'd had since the 80s. While Kayla slept in my parents' king-sized bed. In the room with the window seat. Under the ceiling fan my father installed the summer before he died. I walked back to the kitchen and sat across from my mother. She was waiting for me with her hands folded on the table, the way she used to sit in church. Patient, still, ready for whatever comes. I noticed something, then I hadn't noticed before. On the wall behind her, where my parents' wedding portrait used to hang, there was now a canvas print of Travis and Kayla's wedding photo. Mom's wedding picture was leaning against the baseboard in the hallway, face to the wall. Like someone had taken it down and hadn't bothered to put it away properly. Or had put it down as a message. I sat across from my mother. "Mom," I said, "would you sign the house over to me?" Her eyes filled. She pressed her lips together hard, the way she does when she's trying not to break. She looked at the table. "If I do that, they'll leave Lily. And then what? I'll be here alone. In this big house. Nobody coming. Nobody going. Just me and the walls." I understood something then that I hadn't understood before. The fake deed wasn't the deepest lock. The daily list wasn't the deepest lock. The deepest lock was this. Kayla had made my mother believe that servitude was the price of company, that without Travis and Kayla, Mom would die alone, that the labor was the only thing keeping them there. And my mother, who had buried her husband and spent 2 years watching the house grow quiet, was more afraid of silence than servitude. I took her hands. "Mom, you won't be alone, I promise you. I will never let you be alone." She looked at me for a long time. Her lip trembled. Then she nodded. Small. Barely a movement. But it was enough. A week later, I needed to test something. I stopped by the house when Kayla was there. Travis was out. Kayla was in the living room. Laptop open. Coffee in a ceramic mug I recognized as my mother's wedding set. Nails gleaming. Mom was in the laundry room. I sat on the arm of the couch. Casual. "I noticed that list on the fridge last time I was here," I said. "That's a lot of tasks for Mom to do every day." Kayla didn't miss a beat. She set down her coffee, slowly, controlled, and turned to me with a look of practiced patience. A look that said, "I've been waiting for this question, and I already have the answer." Oh, that? Her doctor actually recommended it. Structure is really important at her age. It keeps her joints moving and her mind sharp. She asked for it, Lily. You'd be surprised. She's actually happier with a routine. Every word was perfect. Warm but firm. Reasonable. She even tilted her head slightly like she was letting me in on a secret about my own mother that I should be grateful to know. Then the knife. We gave up everything to be here, you know. I left my job. Travis works overtime. We moved our whole lives to help your mom. I know you mean well, Lily, but, and I say this with love, if you were here more often, you'd see how much she actually enjoys having things to do. If you were here more often. 5 words. And every one of them aimed at the part of me that already felt guilty for living 3 hours away while my mother scrubbed baseboards with a toothbrush. I nodded. I thanked her. I left. In the driveway, I sat in my car with the engine off for a full minute. She was good. She had an answer for every angle. She could reframe forced labor as doctor's orders. She could reframe exploitation as sacrifice. She could reframe my concern as an absent daughter's guilt. But county records don't need an angle. They don't need a story. They just say what's true. And what was true was that the house still belonged to my mother. 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, I picked my mother up and drove her to the Notary Public on Main Street. The same block where the courthouse sits. The same office Mom used to walk past every morning for 28 years. The notary recognized her. Donna Walsh. My goodness. How long has it been? Mom smiled. A real one. The first one I'd seen in months that didn't look like it cost her something. We sat down at the small desk. I placed the deed in front of her. A real deed this time. Prepared properly by an attorney at my firm whom I'd asked as a favor. Legal description, parcel number, county reference, grantor, Donna Marie Walsh. Grantee, Lily Ann Walsh. Every line filled, every box checked, every seal in place. Mom looked at it. She picked it up and held it close, reading the way she used to read documents at the courthouse. The same tilt of her head, the same focus. And I watched her face change as she recognized, for the first time in nearly 2 years, what a real property document looked like. I thought I already lost the house, she whispered. She set the paper down. Her hands were shaking. I thought it was gone, Lily. I thought they took it. They didn't take it, Mom. They couldn't. Because the paper Kayla gave you was never filed. It was never recorded. It doesn't exist in any system anywhere. You never lost anything. The house was yours the whole time. Every single day you spent cleaning it and cooking in it and mowing its lawn. It was yours. She pressed her fingers against her eyes. She didn't cry. She just held the pressure there for a moment, like she was keeping something inside. Then she lowered her hands, picked up the pen, and signed. Her handwriting was clear and steady, the same signature she'd used for 28 years behind a courthouse desk. Muscle memory. A lifetime of signing things that mattered. This was the last one. The notary stamped it, sealed it. I filed a copy with the recorder's office that same afternoon. I walked out of that building carrying a piece of paper that weighed less than an ounce and felt heavier than anything I'd ever held. Outside the notary's office, standing on the sidewalk in the late autumn cold, my mother held on to me and didn't let go for a long time. She didn't say anything. She just breathed. And when she finally stepped back, there was something different in her eyes. Not joy. Not yet. Relief. The particular relief of a woman who's just learned that the ground she was standing on was real. I'll be back on Thanksgiving, Mom. This time, you're not serving anyone. 12 days of preparation. I printed the certified county record. I printed the new deed. I placed both alongside the photographs of the fake property transfer and the house agreement. I organized them in sequence, the way I'd present them at a hearing if this were a case. First the claim, then the reality, then the evidence of fraud, then the contract built on the fraud. I labeled each document with a sticky note. I rehearsed the order 3 times. Everything went into a white folder. I called Connie. "Can you come to Mom's house on Thanksgiving? Around 6? "I'll be there," she said. No questions. She'd been waiting 2 years. Thanksgiving. Round 2. Same road. Same turn. Same driveway. Travis's truck. 2 unfamiliar cars. Music through the windows. I knocked. Kayla opened the door. Same dress. Same earrings. Same half-second delay. "Lily, 2 Thanksgivings in a row. What a surprise." I walked in with the white folder under my arm. I set it on the staircase railing, leaning it against the wall. Nobody looked twice. The scene was a carbon copy. Mom in the kitchen, apron on. Travis at the head of the table. Friends around him. Kayla beside Travis. Wineglass already going. I pulled the stool from the hallway again and sat at the edge. I ate. I smiled. I helped Mom bring out the sweet potatoes. I listened to Kayla say, "Mom, more wine," 3 times in 38 minutes. I counted. Again. After dinner, I went to the kitchen. Mom was already at the sink pulling on the same rubber gloves, cracked at the fingertips now, worn through at the thumb. I touched her shoulder. She looked at me. She knew. I reached for the white folder. Her wet hand caught my wrist. "Please," she said. Her voice was barely there. "Please don't, Lily. They'll leave. And I'll be alone in this house. With nothing." I looked at my mother. 62 years old, hands cracked from bleach, standing in the house she and my father built, begging me not to save her because she was more afraid of quiet than she was of being used. Kayla had planted that seed years ago. "Without us, who takes care of you?" That was the final chain. Not the fake document. Not the contract. The fear. I held her wet hand in both of mine. "Mom, you will not be alone. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Not ever. I promise you." She didn't pull away. But she didn't let go right away either. We stood there in the kitchen, her hand in mine, the water running in the sink. Then she exhaled, long and shaky, and she stepped back. She just asked me not to do it. My own mother. What would you do? Listen to her fear or fight for her anyway? Because I already decided. I picked up the white folder and walked into the dining room. Travis was leaning back in my father's chair, telling some story about a pipe burst on a job site. Kayla was laughing too loud at something one of his friends said. The TV was blaring behind them. "Can everyone hear me for a minute?" Nobody stopped. I had to say it twice. "Please, I need everyone's attention." Kayla looked up first. She straightened. She saw the folder in my hand and something flashed across her face. Not fear, not yet. Annoyance, like I was interrupting her party. She spoke before I could. "Before you say anything, Lily, I just want everyone in this room to understand something. Travis and I moved into this house 2 years ago. We gave up our apartment, our privacy, our savings. We did that because nobody else was willing to take care of Mom." She looked around the table, nodded, like she was rallying troops. "So whatever this is, whatever dramatic speech you've prepared, I think we've earned a little respect. Don't you?" She looked at me, folded her hands, waited. I opened the folder. My mother signed this house over to me 3 weeks ago, at a notary, witnessed, stamped, and recorded with the county recorder's office. This is a legal deed of transfer. I placed it in the center of the table. The room tilted. Travis sat forward. One of his friends set down his beer. Kayla's smile didn't drop, but it froze, like someone had pressed pause on a performance. "That's impossible," she said. The house was transferred to Travis 2 years ago. I have the paperwork. Hang on. She pushed back from the table. She walked to the bedroom, my parents' bedroom, where she and Travis slept now, and came back carrying the manila folder labeled Property Transfer. She set it on the table with force, confident. She opened it and held up the sheet inside, the bold header, the blocks of text, my mother's signature at the bottom. See? Right here. Signed and transferred. 2 years ago. I let her hold it up. I wanted everyone to see it. Then I took it from her hand. This document, I said, holding it up, has no county seal, no recording number, no notary stamp, no witness signature, no legal description of the property, no parcel number, no lot reference, nothing. It was never filed with the county recorder's office. It was never recorded in any government system. I set it on the table next to the real deed. This, I pointed to the fake, is a piece of paper created on a home computer and printed on copy paper. This, I pointed to the deed, is what a real property transfer document looks like. County seal, notary stamp, recording number, legal description, filed and indexed. Nobody spoke. The TV was still on behind us. Nobody reached for the remote. My mother has been cooking, cleaning, scrubbing, mowing, raking, serving, and working from 6:30 in the morning until 8 at night, every single day, for almost 2 years. Not because she wanted to, because she was told this house was no longer hers. I pulled the photo of the house agreement from the folder. She signed this. A house agreement. It says, and I'm reading directly, in exchange for continued residence in the back bedroom, Donna Walsh agrees to perform the following household duties. It lists 7 daily tasks. It's signed by my mother and by Kayla. I placed it on the table. My mother signed a contract to work as a servant in her own house, in exchange for a bedroom, in a house she already owned, because she believed a fake piece of paper that told her it wasn't hers anymore. I looked at Kayla. She believed she was the guest. For 2 years. In her own home. The front door opened. Connie Draper walked in, coat still buttoned, a pie in one hand and her purse in the other. She looked around the room. The papers on the table, the silence, the faces, and walked to stand behind my mother, who had come to the kitchen doorway. I've been next door for 30 years, Connie said. Her voice was calm, clear, a retired teacher's voice. I've watched Donna Walsh raise 2 children, bury a husband, and keep that garden alive through every winter. And then I watched her disappear. She stopped coming outside. She stopped having visitors. She stopped laughing. She started doing yard work she never did before. Mowing, raking, hauling. Things Gerald used to do, because someone told her she had to. Connie looked directly at Kayla. And when I came to the door with pie, you told me she was too busy for visitors. I placed the final document on the table, the certified county record, stamped, sealed, signed by the recorder. This is the official property record from the county recorder's office. This house has been in Donna Walsh's name since Gerald's will was probated 6 years ago. There has been no transfer, no sale, no lien, no quit claim, no filing of any kind. The house never changed hands. I pointed at the fake document. Because this was never real. One of Travis's friends pushed his chair back. Another stood up entirely. Kayla turned to Travis. Her composure cracked. Say something, Travis. Tell them. Tell them about the agreement. She signed it. Travis was staring at the fake document on the table. His mouth was open slightly. I don't know if he'd ever held that paper before. I don't know if he'd ever asked what was in that folder. I don't know if he chose not to look, or if he simply never cared enough to ask. But he was looking at it now. She signed a contract, I said, to perform daily labor in exchange for a bedroom. In a house you told her wasn't hers anymore. Using a document that doesn't exist in any government office in this state. I stepped back from the table. You didn't just lie to her. You built a system. A fake deed to take away her ownership. A contract to replace it with labor. A daily task list to enforce it. You isolated her from her friends. You deleted her messages from me. And you made her believe that this, cooking and cleaning and serving your dinner parties, was the price of not being thrown out of her own home. Kayla's face had gone white. Not red. White. The color of someone watching a structure collapse. We should go, one of Travis's friends said quietly. They filed out one by one. Nobody shook hands. Nobody said Happy Thanksgiving. The front door closed behind them. Travis was still sitting. His palms were flat on the table. Are you just going to sit there? Kayla hissed. He looked up at her, then at my mother, then back at the table. He didn't say a word. I turned to my mother. She was standing in the doorway, Connie's hand on her shoulder. She wasn't behind a counter. She wasn't carrying a plate. She was standing. Just standing. Mom's name is on this deed, I said. It always was. And now it's on a new one. One she signed of her own free will, in front of a notary who's known her for 20 years. This house belongs to her. I looked at Kayla. You have 72 hours to move out. That's more time than you deserve. But my mother asked me to be fair. So I'm being fair. Kayla looked at Travis. Travis stood up. He didn't look at my mother. He didn't look at me. He walked upstairs. Kayla followed. The bedroom door shut. The house went quiet. Connie set the pie on the counter and poured a glass of water. She placed it in front of my mother, who had walked to the kitchen table and pulled out a chair. Mom sat down. She sat at the table. In the chair. Her hands around the glass. For the first time in 2 years, nobody was asking her to stand up. I knew, she said, so quietly I almost missed it. I knew it wasn't right. But I was so scared, Lily. I kept thinking, if I say something, they'll leave. And it'll just be me. In this house. Alone. I took her hand. The same hand that signed both documents. The fake and the real. You're not alone, Mom. You never were. Connie sat down next to her. She didn't say anything. She put her hand on Mom's arm, and the three of us sat in that kitchen in the kind of silence that only comes when something that was buried for too long finally reaches air. The next morning, Travis came downstairs with a bag. Kayla was already outside by the truck, phone in hand, pacing the driveway, talking fast to someone. Probably her mother. Probably spinning a version of the story where she was the victim. I was at the kitchen table, drinking coffee from the mug Dad used to use, the blue one with the chipped handle. Mom was still asleep. First time she'd slept past 6 in nearly 2 years. I'd checked on her twice. Both times she was on her side, blanket pulled to her chin, breathing slow and even, like her body had finally remembered what rest felt like. Travis stood in the doorway for a long moment. He was wearing the same flannel from last night. He hadn't packed much. One duffel bag, a backpack. He looked at the kitchen like he was trying to memorize it. I'm sorry, Mom, he said. But he was looking at me, not at her bedroom door. She's asleep, I said. He nodded. Then he rubbed the back of his neck and said the thing I'd been waiting 2 years to hear. I knew Lily, the whole time. I saw the list on the fridge the day Kayla put it up. I saw Mom scrubbing floors before sunrise while Kayla slept until 10. I watched Mom eat, standing at the counter. Standing Lily, like she didn't have the right to sit. While Kayla and I sat at this table with cloth napkins and the good plates. His voice cracked on the word plates. I told myself she was fine. I told myself she liked having things to do. I told myself it was different from what it looked like. But I knew what it looked like. Every day. I knew. Then why didn't you stop it? He didn't look at me. He looked at the chair at the head of the table. Dad's chair. The one he'd been sitting in for 2 years like he'd earned it. Because it was easy, he said, almost a whisper. Because Kayla handled everything and I didn't have to think. Because if I said something, I'd lose the free rent and the hot meals and the wife who never asked me to lift a finger. Because it was easier to pretend Mom was happy than to admit I was letting her be used. I didn't respond. There was nothing to say that would make it better. And he knew it. He picked up his bag and walked out the front door. He paused on the porch, one hand on the railing. I thought he might turn around. He didn't. He walked to the truck. Kayla was already in the passenger seat. He got in, started the engine, backed out, and drove away. I heard the truck fade down the road until there was nothing but the sound of wind against the windows. Mom appeared in the hallway a few minutes later. Bathrobe, bare feet, no apron. She walked to the window and watched the empty driveway for a while. She didn't wave. She didn't cry. She just stood there until there was nothing left to look at. Then she turned to the kitchen. The refrigerator was bare. I'd taken the list down the night before. Just the sunflower magnet, a wedding photo of my parents, and a crayon drawing from Connie's grandson. Mom opened the back door. Cold November air came in. She looked at the yard. The garden beds overgrown, the lawn thick with leaves, the flower borders she and Dad built now tangled with weeds. "I'll need to fix that," she said. "We'll fix it together." She nodded. Then she walked to the hook by the back door. The apron. Gray cotton. Ink stain on the pocket. She'd worn it every day for 2 years. Not because she wanted to, but because someone told her it was required. She looked at it, touched the edge of it with one finger. She held it for a moment, the fabric bunched in her fist. Then she hung it back on the hook and stepped away. "I don't think I need that today," she said. She sat down at the kitchen table. I poured her a cup of coffee. In her favorite mug, the one with the faded daisies that Kayla had moved to the back of the cabinet. I'd found it last night and put it front and center. Mom held the mug with both hands and looked out the window at the light coming through the bare November trees. The garden was a mess. The flower beds were full of weeds. The tomato cages my father had built from rebar were still standing, tilted and rusted, with nothing growing inside them. But the light was good, and the house was quiet, and nobody was going to walk in and ask her to do anything. I washed the breakfast dishes. She watched me from the table. She didn't offer to help. She didn't stand up. She just sat there, sipping coffee, watching her daughter do a simple thing, and maybe understanding, for the first time in a long time, that she was allowed to be still. It was the first time in 2 years someone else washed a dish in that house. That afternoon, I went through the house room by room. I moved Mom's things back into the master bedroom, her quilts, her clock, her reading lamp, the photo of Dad in his fishing hat. I put the wedding portrait back on the wall. I took down Kayla's canvas print and left it in the garage. Mom stood in the doorway of the master bedroom and looked at it like she was seeing it for the first time in years. "I thought I'd never sleep in here again," she said. "It was always yours, Mom." She ran her hand along the window seat. Then she sat on the bed. Her bed, the one she'd shared with Dad for 30 years, and just breathed. Connie came Sunday. Apple pie. Same recipe, same plate. "Like old times?" she said. Mom laughed. Not the performance laugh I'd heard at Thanksgiving. The tight, careful one she'd mastered for Kayla's benefit. A real laugh. Short and surprised. The kind that starts in your chest before your brain gives permission. Her shoulders dropped. Her face changed. For a second she looked like the woman in the wedding portrait. The one who smiled because she meant it. We sat on the back porch with coats and scarves and 3 mugs of coffee that went cold before we finished them. Nobody was timing us. Nobody was writing a task list. Nobody was checking whether the counter had been wiped. Connie talked about the neighborhood. The Hendersons got a new fence. The oak tree on Maple Street dropped a limb on the road. Small things. Normal things. The kind of talk my mother had been locked out of for 2 years. Then Mom got quiet. She looked at the garden. The one she and Dad built in their first year in the house. The one where she grew tomatoes and zinnias and basil that she'd dry in paper bags in the garage. "Connie," she said, "why didn't you say something?" Connie was quiet for a moment. She set down her coffee. "I wanted to. Every time I brought pie and got turned away at the door, I wanted to walk right in. But Connie stopped herself. Then, I told myself it wasn't my place, that families work things out. I was wrong, Donna. I should have called Lily the first week." Mom nodded. She didn't say it was okay, because it wasn't. But she reached over and squeezed Connie's hand, and that was its own kind of answer. Later, when Connie had gone and I was packing my bag to drive back to Harrisburg, Mom stopped me in the hallway. "Your father would have done what you did," she said, but faster and louder. I smiled. Somebody had to be the quiet one. "You were never quiet, Lily. You were just patient." She hugged me. And for the first time in 2 years, she didn't smell like bleach. Travis called 2 weeks later. I didn't answer. He texted, "Can we talk?" I replied, "You had 2 years to talk. You chose silence. So did I." He didn't respond. A week after that, he texted again. "I know I don't deserve it, but can I see Mom?" I forwarded the text to Mom. She read it. She set her phone on the table. She said, "Not yet." That was her choice. Not mine. Hers. The first real choice she'd made about her own family in 2 years. Kayla posted something online about toxic family members who tear families apart for control. I didn't respond. I don't need to. The county record says what it says. And the house agreement is in my office safe, alongside the fake property transfer, filed and labeled and ready if it ever needs to see the inside of a courtroom. My mother gardens every morning now. She starts around 7, before the air warms up, while the dew is still on the grass. She planted new bulbs last week. Tulips, the same varieties she and my father put in the year they bought the house. She ordered them from the same catalog. She told me she found the old receipt in a box in the garage, tucked inside a seed envelope with Dad's handwriting on it. Spring '96, the good ones. She's sleeping in her own bedroom again. The window seat catches the morning light. She keeps Dad's fishing hat on the bedpost, the way he used to. Connie brings pie on Sundays. Sometimes they sit on the porch and don't say a word for an hour. Sometimes they talk until the pot is empty and one of them has to make more. Last Sunday, Mom said she was thinking about getting a dog. Connie said she'd help pick one out. I drive down every other weekend now. I don't wait for an invitation. I just go. I bring groceries and we cook together. She doesn't cook alone anymore unless she wants to. The stool I used at Thanksgiving is gone. There's a fourth chair at the table now. Mine. The list is gone. The folder is gone. The apron stays on the hook. If you've ever watched someone you love disappear inside their own home, if you've ever seen them serve and smile and say, "I'm fine," when they weren't, I hope this story reminds you, it is never too late to pull them out, even if they're afraid. Some people will tell you family means sacrifice, and maybe it does. But sacrifice means choosing, not being tricked into giving away everything you own, everything you are, and calling it love. My mother's name is on that deed. It always was. She just needed someone to show her.